What a do, y'all? This is great grandson of We Rebuilding We. Let's go.
Yo, grandson, I got you, boy. You already know how we meet, me and you do. Just tell me this name of the two joints real quick. This one right here. Whoa.
Funk you did that.
Yeah, we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna get right into this one right here, man. First of all, we're just gonna ask the lawyer, Babygurl, what is the Jack Johnson Mann Act?
Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight boxing champion, was convicted in 1913 under the Mann Act, also known as the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910. This law made it illegal to transport women across state lines for, quote, immoral purposes. And in Johnson's case, it was widely seen as a racially motivated prosecution due to his relationships with white women.
Wow. So next question I want to ask you, tell me more. Tell me more about the Mann Act. Let the people know more about the Mann Act.
The Mann Act, enacted in 1910, prohibited transporting women across state lines for, quote, immoral purposes. While ostensibly aimed at combating white slavery, sex trafficking, its vague wording allowed it to be used to criminalize consensual sexual activity, especially interracial relationships. Jack Johnson's conviction for transporting a white woman, Belle Schreiber, was widely seen as a racially motivated application of this law due to societal prejudice against his relationships with white women. Despite Johnson's eventual pardon in 2018, the Mann Act, though amended to focus on sex trafficking and child exploitation, remains in effect today.
That's crazy. So basically, this is some racist-ish.
The Mann Act holds significant historical and legal importance for several reasons. 1. Response to white slavery hysteria. The act was passed in 1910 during a period of widespread moral panic about white slavery, the perceived forced prostitution of white women. While the extent of this traffic was often exaggerated, it fueled public outrage and legislative action. The Mann Act was seen as a federal response to a perceived national crisis and a way to align the U.S. with international efforts to combat trafficking. 2. Expansion of federal power. The Mann Act invoked the Interstate Commerce Clause of the U.S. Constitution, allowing the federal government to intervene in matters traditionally handled by states. By making it a federal crime to transport women across state lines for immoral purposes, it significantly expanded federal jurisdiction over moral and social issues. This set a precedent for future federal involvement in areas previously considered local or state concerns. 3. Vague language and broad application. The most contentious aspect of the Mann Act was its broad and ambiguous language, particularly the phrase, for any other immoral purpose. While initially intended to combat forced prostitution, this vague wording allowed courts to interpret it much more broadly.
That's crazy, man. That's ill right there. So this is a question that I want to ask you. So what if the woman is not innocent and she's the one doing the criminal acts? Can you tell me more about that?
You've hit on a very important distinction in how the Mann Act operates today compared to its early problematic history. In the contemporary application of the Mann Act, now codified primarily at 18 U.S. Code sections 2421, 2424, if a woman is the one engaging in criminal acts related to sex trafficking, pimping, or any other illegal sexual activity, she can absolutely be prosecuted. Here's a breakdown of why and how. 1. Gender neutrality. As discussed, the key amendments, particularly in 1986, stripped away the gender-specific language. The law no longer refers to women or girls, but to any individual or any person.
Wow. So in the Mann Act, shouldn't a woman be charged as well if she's the one doing the criminal activity, shouldn't she be charged as well? She doing the criminal activity? This is nasty.
You are absolutely correct. Under the Modern Man Act, a woman can and should be charged if she is the one committing the criminal acts. The key takeaway is that the law is no longer about innocent white women being victimized by men. That historical context is crucial for understanding its origins and the period of its misuse, but it does not reflect its current application. Here's why. Reiterating and expanding on previous points. Gender-neutral language. The 1986 amendments fundamentally changed the wording of the Mann Act. 18 U.S. Code sections 24212424 from any woman or girl to any individual or any person.
That's nasty. This is nasty work. This is nasty work. So let me ask you a question, baby girl. So if the woman is bringing the male escorts across the state lines, and the male of her significant other isn't involved at all or what she's doing, is he guilty as well?
You're absolutely on point with your understanding. If a woman is bringing male escorts across state lines for the purpose of engaging in prostitution or any other illegal sexual activity, she can and would be charged under the Modern Man Act, 18 U.S. Code sections 24212424. Here's why this scenario falls squarely within the scope of the current law. Gender neutrality is key. The most significant reform to the Mann Act was making it gender neutral. It no longer specifies women or girls as victims or implies that only men can be perpetrators. The language now refers to any individual or any person. This means perpetrator can be male or female. A woman transporting male escorts is just as liable as a man transporting female escorts.
Exactly.
Victim can be male or female or child. The male escorts, whether they are being coerced or are willing participants, are the individuals being transported for an illegal purpose. Interstate travel for illegal sexual activity. The core elements of a Mann Act violation are 1. Knowing transportation. The woman must knowingly transport the male escorts. 2. Interstate commerce. The transportation must occur across state lines or in foreign commerce or U.S. territory/possession.
I have a full understanding. I have a full understanding of what you're saying. So now what I want to know is, so if the woman is the one having sex with the escorts and her significant other is just watching, like a porno flick, just like a porn, just watching, is he guilty because he didn't engage in the sex activities? It's a question I just want to know. And the people want to know as well.
This scenario brings up important distinctions between direct participation in a crime, aiding and abetting, and conspiracy, especially concerning the Mann Act. Let's break down the guilt of the significant other, the woman and the male escorts. The woman. If the woman is the one transporting male escorts across state lines for the purpose of prostitution, where she is the client, she is directly violating the Mann Act, 18 U.S. Code section 2421. The intent that such individual engages in prostitution or in any sexual activity for which any person can be charged with a criminal offense is present. The fact that she is also a participant in the sexual act doesn't negate her role as the transporter for an illegal purpose. The male escorts. The escorts themselves would likely be charged under state prostitution laws for engaging in the act of prostitution. Federal charges related to them.
Most definitely they're going to attack Cassie now because she took the stand. Didn't she have immunity? That's a question I'm going to ask her later on. But I'm going to continue.
Mann Act primarily focus on the transportation aspect and the person causing that transportation, not typically the person being transported, unless they are also involved in the criminal enterprise, e.g., as co-conspirators in a larger scheme. The significant other, watching. The significant other's guilt depends heavily on their knowledge and intent and their level of participation in the overall scheme. Mere presence or observation generally isn't enough for a conviction, but active involvement, even if not directly in the sexual act, can lead to charges. Here are the potential avenues for the significant other to be found guilty under federal law. 1. Aiding and abetting. 18 U.S. Code Section 2. This is the most likely avenue. To be guilty of aiding and abetting, the significant other must know that the woman is transporting the escorts for prostitution/illegal sexual activity. Intend to facilitate or contribute to the commission of that crime. Do something to help or facilitate the crime. This something doesn't have to be direct participation in the sexual act. It could include driving the car, if he drives them across state lines, providing money or resources, if he pays for the escorts, the hotel, or the
Aiding
travel
and abetting.
expenses, arranging the meetings, if he books the escorts, coordinates times, or finds locations, acting as a lookout or security, if his presence is intended to ensure the smooth operation of the prostitution activity.
I got a clear view of what you're saying and a clear understanding. I overstand. Now, this is the question I have to ask. That's very important that people want to know. Taking the stand in a trial, like as Diddy's trial, this is on Cassie part. Taking a stand in a trial, can your immunity deal be broken? Can your immunity deal be broken for taking the stand?
Yes, taking the stand in a trial, particularly if you are testifying under an immunity agreement, can absolutely cause your immunity to be broken, or at least significantly jeopardized if you fail to adhere to the terms of that agreement. Here's why and how. Types of immunity and their conditions. There are generally two main types of immunity granted to witnesses in criminal cases. 1. Use and derivative use immunity. This is the more common type, especially at the federal level. It protects you from having your testimony and any evidence directly derived from it used against you in a future criminal prosecution. How it can be broken. Perjury/false testimony. If you lie on the stand, your immunity is almost certainly void for that testimony. The prosecution can then use your false statements and even your prior immunized truthful statements against you in a prosecution for perjury or for the underlying crime. Contradicting prior statements. If your testimony contradicts previous statements you made, even if those earlier statements were truthful and immunized, prosecutors can often use the prior immunized statements to impeach your credibility or even as evidence against you if your defense at trial presents a conflicting version of events.
That's what I'm talking about. See, thank you so much. I have more clarity now. This is nasty. So most definitely she can most definitely, man, you already know where this is going. You already know where this whole picture is going. You already know what it is. The question is, should Cassie, aka Janet, be charged as well? Yes, she should be charged as well. But before we go, we're going to get into this real quick by my brother Harlem Legend. All right? Let's go.
When something goes wrong with the women, we all quick to jump out the window. But I feel like some karma is coming into play this time around, and karma has no time limit. I gotta be real. This Diddy trial is far from over. Yeah, because Cassie played a very significant part in this trial. You heard? She said a whole lot on that stand. We got a male escort, right? A male escort that Diddy and Cassie was paying. And when I say this man is coming out and he's spilling the beans, he goes by the name of Clayton Howard. He's even going as far as saying that Cassie gave him an STD. I'm just saying, why a male can't be a victim? I'm just saying, I'm just trying to put it out there. Cassie walked away with 30 million and at the same time wanted to put a letter on Diddy to make sure he didn't get bail. This woman is vicious. And to keep it real, it took DJ Vlad to come out. Yeah, it took DJ Vlad to come out and basically call Cassie out. Cassie is guilty of the same prostitution charges Diddy was just convicted of.
Facts.
I interviewed 3 of the male escorts. All 3 of them said the same thing. Cassie picked them.
And I do agree with you, my brother. I do agree with you, man. Proceed. This is nasty.
To give Diddy bail. Nasty. This woman is nasty. I could imagine what her husband feels. I'm just being real. But I need y'all to listen to the male escort now and see what Clayton Howard has to say. You heard? Let's hear what he's talking about. Because he basically puts everything on blast. Pay attention to what he has to say because he's calling himself a victim also. Pay attention.
Good morning. I am Dave, the man who has just sued Cassandra Ventura. for damages involved in the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial. And I'm looking through social media and I see a lot of the women out there, particularly black women like myself, who choose to victim shame me and try to do everything they can to discredit me, because the truth is that the loss of the Sean Combs trial was a loss to the Me Too movement and to hating women like the women who are trying to insult me. So let me tell you something, you women out there who would like to insult me. This is my story. I was paid by Cassie, Cassandra Ventura, for 8 years to be her male provider. I didn't have to be the best looking guy. I was the best in bed. And because I was the best in bed, guess what? I was given this arrangement. I was coerced. I was drugged. I was manipulated with promises of money and gifts for over a period of 8 years to continue to be this woman's provider at her expense and at the expense of Diddy.
Like I said, man, you can go over there to my brother's channel, Harlem Legend TV, and go over there, press like and subscribe. He got some great content. Go over there and subscribe, man. You know what I'm saying? Word up. He's one of my day ones I started with. You understand what I'm saying? And we all in here together, man. The dark side, 050 the movement. This is where the foundation started from. You get what I'm saying? But we're going to get back into it.
Now, at the time, legally, I didn't know my rights as well as I do now. I didn't create this conflict with Cassandra Ventura. She created it with me. She's the one who decided to bring up things that happened over 10 to 15 years ago to hold Sean Combs accountable for what was a partial truth. She's the person who introduced me to the U.S. Attorney's Office. She's the person who told the U.S. Attorney's Office about our relationship. So in essence, those out there who want to hate on me, who want to say that I'm attacking Cassie, you should realize the truth, that Cassandra Ventura, your idol, did this to herself. She exposed herself to liability when she got on the stand and decided to mention me as the male escort who was with her when she overdosed and Diddy made her have sex with him. That was a lie, people. Cassie had just woke up from sleeping 8 hours. Myself and Sean Combs were exhausted. We wanted to go home. Cassie's the one who forced that sexual encounter. People, she tells you that Sean Combs made her have sex on her menstrual cycle. I can't speak for anyone else but myself.
Whoa, this is nasty. This is nasty work. Did y'all hear what he just said? Wow. This is nasty.
But I know the one time that did happen, that Sean Combs was not responsible for that Cassie, in a drunken, intoxicated, hormonally imbalanced state due to her period, manipulated and forced herself on me during her menstrual cycle. And what I mean by that is I had no knowledge she was on her menstrual cycle because the room was completely dark. She manipulated the room. She manipulated the environment to get what she wanted, and then she totally got up like I was the one who should have been grateful. You're on your period. That's disgusting, and I deserved more respect than that.
Whoa, this man went crazy just now.
Word.
I'm gonna ask y'all the same question. Why can't he be a victim? Why can't he be a victim the same way she was a victim to Diddy? All these women took the stand as victims to Diddy. Why can't this male escort be a victim? Why? Because he's a black man? It's so much of a stigma that a man can't be abused, that a man can't be in these situations. He's very well spoken. I will say that. Some people may say he's a sore in the eyes. But you heard what he said? I was the best in bed. He didn't stop there. He kept going. Yeah, Clayton Howard didn't stop there. He had a lot more to say. Pay attention.
And forced myself on her and orgasmed in her, and she got up and it was leaking out of her. Guess what? I would have raped her. So by statute, by case law definition, Cassandra Ventura sexually assaulted me. I'm not looking to destroy Cassie. I've given Cassie more than a year to settle this before things got out of control. The problem is she's being supported by women like you who choose to attack male victims instead of accept the truth, which is that a woman could have lied to get revenge on the ex-boyfriend who broke her heart and hurt her. It happens, people. They say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and that's true. If you hurt some women, they will do everything in their power. If you hurt some men, they'll do everything in their power to hurt you. But I want to end this by saying this. Cassie did this to herself. They say he who sets out on the course of revenge should dig 2 graves. People, Cassie dug the grave that is Clayton Howard herself. Cassie got on the stand trying to destroy Diddy. She should have took her $20-30 million and walked into the sunset, people. Yeah. She should have never gotten on the stand and created further liability for herself. by telling more of the lie that she created to get this man sent to prison for his life. She made a mistake when she got on the stand, people. She made a mistake when she got on the stand and lied about the events with Clayton Howard. Clayton Howard is a victim of Cassandra Ventura. Clayton Howard didn't ask to be in a relationship with Cassandra Ventura while she was sleeping with numerous men per week. I get it. You all think I was a nasty male prostitute sleeping with women, all different women all the time. It actually didn't work like that. To have certain types of people that can pay you that well, what you really have to do is you have to focus on people who are affluent. And affluent people don't engage in activities like that. So I might have had a client once a month. The truth is I was only a male escort for 2 years. I continued in the profession because Cassie and Diddy continued to pay me very well. And I was an ex-con. I needed.
So all I'm saying is lawyer Babygurl was right on everything she was saying. She was right on everything she was saying, man. Well, we're going to have a quick intermission real quick, man. This great grandson of We Were Building We. If you just came in the building, press that like button, man. So, yo, we back now, man. So this is the question I want to ask lawyer Babygurl. In an immunity deal, can you plead the fifth? In an immunity deal, can you plead the fifth?
This is a crucial point in the legal process. No, you generally cannot plead the fifth if you have been granted a valid immunity deal that covers the scope of the questions being asked. Here's why. The purpose of immunity, the Fifth Amendment, protects you from being compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. This means you can refuse to answer questions if your answers could incriminate you. The very purpose of granting immunity is to remove that fear of self-incrimination. If the government guarantees that your testimony and any evidence derived from it won't be used against you, then you no longer have a valid Fifth Amendment basis to refuse to testify. Compelled testimony. Once immunity is granted, your testimony is considered compelled. This means you are legally required to testify. Consequences of refusal. If you are granted immunity and then refuse to testify or plead the fifth on questions covered by that immunity, you can face severe consequences, including contempt of court. You can be found in civil contempt and jailed until you agree to testify. In some cases, it could also lead to criminal contempt charges. Revocation of immunity. The prosecution can argue that by refusing to testify, you have breached the immunity agreement. Potentially.
Yeah, so just want to be brief real quick. You know what I'm saying? We did 23 minutes. And so this is great grandson of We Were Building We. I want to say thank you in this whole situation. Janet, you should be charged as well. This is nasty. This is great grandson of We Rebuild the We. Thank y'all.